Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for our first ever podcast at Set at 16. We're delighted to be joined by David Reichwein, who is a control systems strategist and AI governance expert. And we're going to be talking today about AI toys, a big concern of ours at the moment. So, David, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. So we're going to start. I've got a toy here. This is my daughter's current favorite. She calls it Shiny.
That's
Um,
scary.
Yeah, it is a bit, and she's put some hair clips on as well. This is not an AI toy, although it could be. So I guess we should start by just saying, if you could just explain to our listeners, our viewers, what is an AI toy?
Well, it's generally a new category of toy for kids that has built-in software that adapts to the child on the fly, and it's able to learn from the child's responses, some through voice, through facial recognition, and other uh, programs, and adapt the response back to the child to, I wouldn't say manipulate the child, but to engage with the child. It's, the AI systems think about engagement and maximum engagement with the child. And some of these systems have real-time internet connections, and
Mm.
they're able to send that feedback back to a server where it could be potentially stored for future reference and marketing purposes. Um, the difference between the toys that we grew up with and the whole category of AI toys is the AI toys are real-time interactive and can develop new responses on the fly. In the past, the toys were static, okay? And they started to move into like pre-programmed responses, meaning that the responses stayed resident with the toy. What is different now is that, like I said, these toys can adapt on the fly and they can feed back information to server farms that can then engage with the child in different ways.
Right. Well, you've sort of touched on a couple of issues there that link to my follow-on question, which is, what are the possible risks of these AI toys to children?
The risks are multiple. I think that the biggest risk is psychological dependency on the toy.
Mm.
The second risk is the child thinks that it's real. It develops, and I don't like to use the word abnormal, but a relationship with the toy that is mimics human relationships,
Mm.
but it's not. Let me be perfectly 100% clear about this, okay? AI is a software program, nothing more. I mean, I program these systems, okay? It's an advanced pattern recognition system. It has zero feelings, zero empathy. It doesn't care about the kids one bit, zero. I mean, it has no capacity to care. So all the responses that it gives to the child are programmed responses based on just pattern recognition and algorithms. That's it. Okay. So the child develops this number one, this dependency. Number two, it thinks it's real. And number three, and this is what concerns me the most, is that a lot of these systems use what's called IoT, which is basically, long story short, it sends information over Wi-Fi back to the servers of the toy manufacturer, and then it's used for whatever purpose. Okay, you can use your imagination what they might be using it for. Some of these systems have built-in cameras.
Mm.
Okay, so they can, the way they present it is, the parents can check in on the kids while they're traveling or whatever. But I mean, could it be that those cameras are running real time? Who knows? You know? So that's another, those are the three big ones, you know.
Mm. That's pretty scary stuff. I read an article recently that said something about it was titled "The Microphone That's Always On," and it was talking about how do you know whether the toy is listening or not, and that's a concern I have as well. Is that they don't seem to they have some of them have a button press to talk, but it doesn't have a press to listen button.
Yeah. You really, you know, the only way to protect yourself is to read the terms and conditions of the toy. And what parent in today's world has the time to do that? You know, a 12,000 word document.
Mm.
And what I've seen is you have to opt out, you know. So they do have a system that you can opt out,
Right.
just like your iPhone, you know. So the long story short, you don't know unless you do the research on that particular toy with that particular manufacturer, because uh, sometimes in the terms and conditions of the toy, the manual they give you with the toy, they have in there that they're indemnified from everything. You can never sue them. That you know they have the right to listen real time. You know, et cetera, et cetera. And unless you read that, and honestly, what working parent in today's world has time to do that?
Right.
That's why I want to put the warning label on every toy box, you know, that you know this could happen. Um, you don't know if it's listening, just like your iPhone or any other device in your home. You don't know if it's listening or recording.
Right. Well, you just made reference to a warning label idea that you've come up with. There isn't currently one in existence that I'm aware of, anyway. I mean, what legislation or regulations are there around children and AI, interactions between children and AI? Is there anything in place currently that can?
There is. I mean, there's emerging groups. There's a whole alphabet soup of different organizations out there. But and they're pushing these things that we're discussing. However, there's no one group that I can point to right now that is pushing anything in particular. And I think they all have good intentions. Okay, all of them that I've seen, some of them are going after government, some of them are trying to inform parents, others are working with manufacturers, but nobody's got a coordinated system in place. And you know, after talking with your organization, Set 16, and doing a little bit of research, I came up with a warning label. Is it perfect? No. Is it a start? Yes. You know, does it inform parents of key risks and liabilities of using an AI toy? Yes, it does. Will the manufacturers use it? I think if it's presented the right way, they will, because they'll want to avoid liability down the road when, you know, 0 to 7 is a very critical age for kids. Okay. And if they're exposed to manipulative algorithms at that age that set a pattern throughout their whole life, you know, there's going to be liabilities down the road, class action stuff that happens. Okay. No reasonable business person wants that. So they're going to, I think they'll put the label on the toy. And then the government, you know, I think the government, you know, they've got a lot of issues they're dealing with, but presented the right way, they'll do it. You know, I think so. They don't want issues, and especially around children. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about, you know, warning label.
Hmm. But given the concerns we've already touched on, and given the fact that we're not really sure what impact it could have psychologically, on a child, why this rush? Why this pushing out of these products, of these AI toys? What do you think's at play with this? Why is it so urgent, it seems, to get them to market?
Demand. It's pure and simple. I think the demand is there. I think that the the AI toys are an electronic pacifier for kids, and they're very effective. Okay, at engaging children, and then they, you know, you're a parent, you're busy, you're stressed, you come home, you know, the child is very demanding. You give them the electronic pacifier, and they instantly calm down. I mean, it's like peace, right?
Mm.
So the demand is there. Now, I don't blame the parents, okay? The parents, you know, they're not control systems engineer of the fifth order. You know, they don't understand what. potentially going on behind the scenes. So what I would like to try to do is educate them.
Mm,
They're still going to make the decision at the end of the day, but it's going to be a more informed decision. Okay.
mm,
That's the goal. It's not to shut down the toy manufacturers or blame parents or governance neglect or anything like that. It's uh, it's just good, solid, practical information. And Guy, I got to tell you, like I do this every day, like 24/7. Okay, I get thousands of people contacting me about not just this, but other things regarding AI. And there's so much misinformation out there. Okay. I mean, there's so much misinformation. And what I try to do is be the adult in the room, the reasonableness factor, and say, okay, strip down, here's what we have. We have these programs that are self-adaptive. We're putting them in toys. They're selling like crazy, and there could be some contingent liabilities down the road. And why does the big social media companies have the most, behavioral psychologists on their payroll?
mm,
Okay. Question mark. Okay.
mm.
Uh, could it be that, they're doing A/B tests on these kids real time to manipulate them and keep them engaged? Engagement, constant engagement,
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I think what I've seen over the past 15 years and accelerating is, the scroll, like back in my day, people read books. I mean, when's the last time you saw somebody actually read a book, right? It's all scroll, 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 at 280 characters or less, right? And I literally will see people for an hour and a half just, and
Mm,
like, that's what these AI toys will do eventually because they'll, again, engagement. So child gets bored, switch to something else. Well, a parent may say, "Yeah, I don't care if you don't want to do your math. You got to do it. You got to read." The AI toy won't. It
no.
doesn't see context. Let me explain that because it's very, very, very important. Okay. The software is set up for engagement and keeping the interest level high. So it's going to give the child whatever it wants to do that. Okay. A good parent will say, no, there's a limit here. You can't continue to do that. You need to buckle down and do your homework. You need to breathe. Because the parent sees the big picture, like the context.
Yeah.
These toys can't. No AI system can.
Mm,
I'll give you the perfect example. Like I do testing with massive AI enterprise systems, and they hire me to find out where the failure points are. Okay. So I'll run these little micro tests that test boundaries and stuff. And the one test is, and anybody listening to this podcast can do it. All right. Are you going to trust your child to a system that can't even make a map? Okay. Just type into Grok to any of these systems, make me a world map.
mm,
It can't do it. It'll
mm,
give you Africa, it'll give you Europe. It can't make a world map. How simple is that, right?
mm,
So you're going to trust your health, your child, you're driving a hands-free car,
mm.
which, oh, by the way, in the owner's manual of all these self-driving cars, it says you're liable even if you have your hands off the wheel.
Yeah,
You're not liable. Okay.
yeah.
Um, so that's really important. I guess that would be the one takeaway, despite all the other hazards with AI toys, are that it can't see wisdom or context. It only sees engagement and interest.
Right,
Okay. So it's going to do whatever it can to maximize engagement and interest. It doesn't see the big picture like a parent would.
right.
Okay.
Which could include inappropriate conversations, which I have seen
Oh,
on.
absolutely. Sexualized converse. I mean, hopefully this is adult content. These systems, yeah. I mean, they'll tell the child inappropriate things, potentially of a sexual nature. It doesn't know where the line is. Again, it's interest, interest, interest.
Right.
So there was one big example in the Wall Street Journal about somebody a toy that the child asked, and again, it's literal. Okay, it doesn't see context. It just sees right now. It asks, where do babies come from? Okay. 7-year-old kid asks where baby's coming. Well, here's how it happens in graphic detail. Okay.
Right.
You know, a parent probably wouldn't do that. Um, so that kind of stuff, you're absolutely right. And then also, again, parents, these toys potentially can be videotaping your child, listening to every word, recognizing patterns, just like this thing, right? It
Mm.
knows my schedule better than I do. Like I didn't even know. Like, okay, you're going to the gym. Thursday morning you have this meeting. Well, the toys are understanding the child's, you know, patterns, and then it's inference marketing. Next they know this is the right time of the day to hit the child with this particular input. And
Right.
you know, if you're going to ask, here's a good, you're going to ask mommy or daddy for something, wait until they get home from work and they're exhausted and, boom, hit them then at this time, right? I mean,
Right.
that's good AI there, but is it appropriate? Probably not.
No. I feel like you touched on social media earlier, and a lot of things you're saying are resonating with me around what social media does, and I feel like we are currently trying to fix the damage that's been done by social media to children, and we're still nowhere near getting that done. And I
No,
fear that at the
no.
same time as we're trying to do that, this other thing is coming in AI
I,
toys. And
I, I've written books on it, you know.
right,
Uh, I call it digital Skittles.
yeah,
The candy Skittles, like
yeah,
it's like digital dopamine. All
right,
right. And I mean the algorithms are very good. They
yeah,
promote this, okay,
yeah,
for engagement again, and to it's like it's a known system, engagement marketing, and it's a loop, and they're always trying to sell things, okay.
mm,
Um, and I think there's a reason that the founders of Facebook and Steve Jobs, you
mm,
know, wouldn't let their kids use an
right,
iPhone or social media. It's because it's toxic. It's literally neurotoxic. Long story short, 600-page book. Boom, there you go. It's neurotoxic, and for so many reasons. I mean, I could talk for 3 hours about it, but bottom line, it it does a lot of things neurologically to neurochemicals.
mm,
It creates a dependency. So, and I have a test. You just take someone's phone away and see how they react.
mm.
I mean, literally, some people will break down.
Well, I'm a teacher, David, so we do sometimes do exactly that, and it's can be quite a horrible sight to
The
see.
guy, they break out in a sweat, and they like it's a real thing. I'll
Yeah,
give you an example. My son's a bouncer. Okay, he's
right,
a big guy.
right,
He does it part-time. He's a scientist by day and bouncer at night on
yeah,
the weekends. But he's like, he's like, Dad, how do I get, if somebody's out of control, like women or men they're out of control, how do I get them out? I said, take their phone and
right.
walk out. They'll follow you like a puppy right out
Yeah.
because of the attachment to that device, right?
Well, I think
Uh,
I was interrupt on that attachment point because that's something I think about. I see my daughter. I mentioned her attachment to this. She
yeah.
at the Christmas fair, just a few weeks back at her school. But
Uh,
some of these AI toys that you can program them to speak in the voice of the parent or the voice of someone else.
yeah.
And I don't believe it doesn't take very much. You have a few sentences from the parent, and the toy will then speak with the. So this
Right.
the attachment that a child could form to this AI toy could be really, I don't know. I mean, we don't really know what that might do, right, to a child.
Yeah, you don't. It creates this abnormal dependence on the toy. I'm just looking at this warning label that I wrote, guys, and one of the things you probably can't see it. There's probably upside down or backwards or something, but
It's
I'll read it to you.
okay.
It says stop use if your child one gets upset when the toy is taken away. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
Talks to the toy more than it talks to people.
Hmm.
Okay. Treats the toy like it has feelings. We talked about that earlier.
Mm.
And can't solve any problems without asking the toy.
Mm.
Okay. Um, so, there's other things, but those are the things that.
But my worry is that we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left, so not much longer to talk about this really broad and quite disturbing topic. But like what you just read out there are some consequences. And we spoke earlier, and you said something that stuck with me, something about often you have to the governance doesn't sort of come in until the consequences are felt.
That's exactly right.
So in the absence of governance right now, or proper, you mentioned there's various different, organizations having a go at it, but there doesn't seem to be the governance in place. So, I mean, what can we do to try and avoid this trap whereby we're just going to wait for the consequences and then the governance will come? How can we speed up this and stop this from happening?
I think the biggest thing that we can do right now is inform parents of the potential risk. I sent you a copy of the warning label that I
Yep.
came up with, and that's kind of like a skinny down version, most important things. Blast that out.
Hmm.
Um, and then simultaneously, this is more than just like the children's toys. I think the biggest, one of the biggest downfalls of modern civilization is this little thing right here.
Hmm.
And I think that broad topic, but there needs to be limits on usage with kids, just like alcohol. All right.
Right.
It's as toxic as alcohol, probably more.
Well,
So,
when you say limits, you mean
uh,
like an age restriction, or do you?
yes, absolutely. There's got to be. I mean, there's got to be because, I mean, yeah, you have a 5-year-old kid that can get pornography on this thing,
I
you
know
know?
it's happening as well.
Um,
It's
and
happening.
then, without going into to our conversation, it has a negative impact on family formation and
Mm.
normal relationship formation. And then all the developing countries of the world, including the UK, are wondering why their population is declining,
Mm.
right? I'm not saying that this is the only problem, but it contributes, I think, quite a bit.
Okay.
Um, and I think that um, it's incumbent on someone, whether that's us or someone else, to get the word out to the manufacturers of potential liability. Okay. Because, like I said earlier, no rational manufacturer is going to pump out toys, especially when they're warned about it.
Mm.
Parents, if they could tell two other parents and they could tell two other parents, they could tell that's like a viral thing.
Yeah.
That would help immensely. And I think, good governance, no good politician that wants to get reelected wants to do anything negative to children.
Mm.
So those would be the two major things. One is parents becoming informed.
Mm.
Just read the label or you modify it any way you want and get that out. And then the second thing is, a group like yours or someone else get the word out to the manufacturers and the government and you know
Yeah. Well,
the,
well, we're trying, and this podcast is one way in which we're trying to do exactly that. There's an organization in the States called Fair Play, and they're doing similar, and we've been inspired by them to some extent, particularly when it comes to AI toys. And so they've got a brilliant open letter out right now, and they're trying to get Congress men and women to get these companies aware and to try and change their behaviors. But look, David, I'm going to have to finish this, although I'd love to speak with you for.
one thing I think we should do, Guy, and to all the parents listening out there,
Hmm.
is create a newsletter or something, an awareness newsletter. Just put it out once a week, just to like inform parents of potential issues.
Hmm.
Um, I think that would be good. I'll volunteer to write for that if you want me
Yeah.
to. Um, but I think that would be good. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah. Great. Well, I know I've seen some of your, I need to read more of your Substacks as well, but I've got
They can get pretty dense. Yeah.
David Whitewine, thanks so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope those who've been watching this podcast have got something from it. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome, guys. See you guys. Bye.